Ever caught that fleeting moment when she texts you, but deletes it before sending? You stare at your screen, wondering, was that a glitch or something deeper? You probably think she just changed her mind. But here's the truth. That hesitation wasn't random. It's the quiet sign. She's slipping into emotional addiction. Like when her eyes linger a second too long, or she accidentally mentions your name in random conversations. You thought you were just being friendly. But what's happening beneath the surface is far more intense. Ready to know the truth? If you've seen even one of these signs before, drop a in the comments. And stay till the end. The last sign reveals a hidden psychological trigger that most men miss. You're lying in bed, staring at your phone screen. It's dark, the kind of dark that makes your thoughts louder. Your eyes are tired, but your mind's racing. And then, it happens. You see the 3 dots, typing. Your heart jumps. It's her. But then, silence. The dots disappear. No message. No notification. Nothing. You stare at the screen for another 5 minutes. Refresh the chat. Nothing changes. You probably tell yourself it was a glitch. Maybe she got distracted. Maybe her cat jumped on the keyboard. Anything to explain it away. But deep down, something stirs. Something didn't feel random, and you'd be right. Because here's the thing. When a woman starts to type, then stops. That's not just hesitation. That's emotional turbulence. That's a storm she's trying to hide. It's the exact moment when logic tries to override impulse. And barely wins. It's midnight. She's alone. And for whatever reason, she thought of you. Not her best friend. Not her ex. Not the guy she's been casually seeing. You. She picked up her phone, opened your chat, typed something, and then deleted it because the vulnerability of hitting send felt too heavy. That's not nothing. She wanted to break silence, but couldn't bring herself to do it. Why? Because deep down, she's already starting to depend on the idea of you. And it terrifies her. It's not the message that matters. It's the battle behind it. You were on her mind long enough to reach her fingers, but not long enough to overcome her emotional defenses. That's the space where addiction begins. It starts subtly, quietly, like this. She'll tell herself, it's just a message. It doesn't mean anything. But if it didn't mean anything, why didn't she send it? You might think you imagined the whole thing, that it was just a moment, a technical glitch. But those little unsent messages, they're the psychological equivalent of her pacing back and forth in her room, trying to decide whether or not to knock on your door. And she doesn't even realize it yet, but you've already taken up emotional space in her world. Most guys would scroll past and never think twice. But you're not most guys. You're the one who notices the unspoken, the quiet, the in-dash between. So next time you see those dots flicker into life and then vanish, wait, don't text first. Let her feel the pull of what she almost said. Because when a woman's fingers tremble on the edge of send, it means you're already in her head, and she doesn't even know how deep you go. There's this moment. You're sitting across from her, maybe at a casual coffee shop. The hum of conversation surrounds you, but she's focused, locked in on you. And then, out of nowhere, she mentions something that stops you cold. It's small, almost insignificant. She brings up that random snack you said you liked weeks ago, or a song you only casually mentioned once, half joking, while scrolling through your playlist. And you freeze, because you barely remember saying it, but she does. She remembers every detail. You probably smile, brush it off, thinking, oh, she just has a good memory. Or maybe you tell yourself, she's just being polite, making conversation. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is far more revealing. Because women don't replay facts. They replay feelings, and when she remembers those tiny throwaway things you said, it's not about the words. It's about the emotional imprint they left on her. It means she's been reliving that conversation in her head. Over and over. It means your words stuck to her like honey, replaying late at night when she's alone, staring at her ceiling, wondering why the thought of you feels like gravity. She's looping you in her mind every time. She scrolls back through your messages. Every time she remembers that random joke you made, or the way you looked at her during that one laugh. You become more than just a passing thought. You become a trigger. Spark that lights up her emotional circuits. And it's addictive, because every time she remembers you, she doesn't just recall the words. She re-experiences the feeling she had around you. That rush, that spark, that emotional high. And here's the truth most guys miss completely. You didn't even try. You weren't trying to impress her. When you mentioned your favorite movie or that weird fact about yourself, you were just being you. That's why. It hit so deep. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't a game. It was authentic. And authenticity is magnetic. So when she casually drops those little reminders into conversation, it's not casual at all. It's a confession, disguised as small talk. She's showing you exactly how often she's been thinking about you, without even realizing she's doing it. And here's your move. When you catch it, don't overreact. Don't get giddy. Just lean back slightly, hold her gaze for a second longer, and smile. That quiet, knowing smile. Because in that moment, she'll feel it. You know exactly what's happening. And that makes her think about you even more. You didn't just leave an impression. You became her emotional habit. It's subtle. Almost too subtle to notice if you're not paying attention. You're not even in the room. You're not even part of the conversation. But somehow, your name slips out of her mouth. It happens when she's with her friends, laughing over something that has absolutely nothing to do with you. They're talking about weekend plans or some random story from work. And then, like a casual afterthought, there it is. Your name. Maybe it's cloaked inside a joke. Maybe she says it with a smirk, acting like it's nothing. Or maybe it's laced into a story she tells, her voice softening just slightly when she says it. But it wasn't nothing, not even close, because a name is never just a name. When she says your name, she's invoking the emotional weight attached to it. You see, a woman's emotional world is built around emotional anchors, those tiny points in her day that trigger a feeling. And your name has become one of them. She says it out loud, partly to see how it feels, to test the way it rolls off her tongue in front of others, but also to validate what she's been feeling inside. It's a release valve, because inside, she's been holding it in, thinking about you, looping conversations in her mind, wondering where this is headed, and slipping your name into the air. That's her way of venting the emotional pressure, just enough to stay sane. She might not even notice she's doing it, but her friends do. They notice. They hear the shift in her tone, the slight excitement under her breath, the way her eyes brighten for half a second when she mentions you. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it too. Most guys would laugh it off. That's funny. She mentioned me. Whatever. But it's not whatever. It's a flare in the night sky. It's her subconscious way of telling the world you have real estate in her head. And here's the secret most men never realize. She wouldn't risk saying your name out loud if you didn't already mean something to her. Because women are masters of subtlety. They don't name drop randomly. Every slip is calculated. Even if she doesn't consciously realize it, her mind is working through emotions she hasn't even fully processed yet. And here's the emotional contrast most guys miss. You think she's just being friendly, just including you in the story. But the reality? She's weaving you into her narrative, testing how it feels to make you part of her world. And when you notice it, don't call it out. Don't tease her. Don't make it obvious. Just smile. Let it hang in the air like smoke. Because When she realizes you caught it, that's when the magic happens. That's when her mind starts to spiral even deeper. You're not just a passing thought anymore. You've become a chapter in her story. And trust me, most men never get that far. But you're not most men. There's a moment that hits you out of nowhere. You've been texting her for days. Conversations flowing easily, laughter in every message, playful teasing back and forth. She responds quickly, eagerly, until suddenly she doesn't. You send a text, something light, maybe something flirty, and it's read. You see the tiny notification. Read 2 hours ago. But no reply. Silence. You wait. 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. Nothing. And inside your chest, that familiar tightening begins. Your thoughts start spiraling. Did I say something wrong? Did I push too far? Is she losing interest? You replay the last few messages in your mind, dissecting every word, wondering where you slipped. But here's what you didn't see. That wasn't disinterest. That was a test. You see, when a woman starts to feel emotionally drawn toward a man, something fascinating happens. Her instincts split. Half of her craves the connection, the warmth, the thrill of your attention. But the other half? It panics, because emotional dependence feels dangerous, vulnerable, exposed, and that's when she initiates what I call the emotional micro-exit. She'll pull back, just a little, ignore a message, delay a reply, go quiet for a day, not because she's lost interest, but because she wants to see what you'll do without her presence. It's her subconscious defense mechanism kicking in. She's not testing your words. She's testing your emotional control. Will you panic and double text? Will you start chasing, begging for her attention again? Or will you stay calm, centered, unmoved? Because the guy who stays grounded in that moment, the man who doesn't chase, doesn't flinch, doesn't scramble to fill the silence, becomes irresistible. He shows her something most men can't. Emotional self-sufficiency. That's magnetic. And here's the cruel irony most guys never realize. While you're sitting there, staring at your screen, overanalyzing everything, she's sitting there too, watching, waiting, wondering how long it'll take before you break. You think she's forgotten about you? She hasn't. She's watching the clock, heart racing, wondering if she's pushed too far. This is the emotional dance no one talks about. And the guys who don't understand it, they crumble under the pressure. They text again. They apologize for nothing. They fall straight into the trap. But you're going to do something different. You're going to lean back. You're going to let the silence stretch. You're going to trust that her pullback isn't rejection. It's attraction, disguised as distance. Because it always is. And when she finally does reply, and trust me, she will, you'll respond with that calm, steady energy. No resentment. No desperation. Just effortless poise. And in that moment, she feel it. The shift. She realize you're not the one who's hooked. She is. You've mastered the hardest part of this entire game. Emotional control. And once you unlock that, everything else gets easier. It always starts the same way. You're scrolling through your feed. Nothing out of the ordinary. Memes, random videos, friends posting about their pets. Then you see it. Her name. She accidentally liked your old post. A post from 6 months ago. Buried deep in your timeline. A post you barely remembered. And your heart jolts. It's that weird mix of shock and curiosity. You sit there, staring at her name under your post, thinking, did she really just do that? You tell yourself, maybe it was a mistake, a slip of the thumb. Happens to everyone, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth. It wasn't an accident, not even close. That was a breadcrumb, a digital fingerprint left by someone who's been diving deep into your world. Because when a woman starts to emotionally fixate on a man, her curiosity becomes insatiable. She scrolls through your entire profile, read old captions, watch old videos, analyze your comments. It's not about stalking. It's about studying. She's trying to piece you together, understand you, find clues about who you were before she knew you. And every once in a while, she slips. She taps the screen too fast. Or forget she's not in private anymore. She likes a post from way back, views your story 5 times in an hour, reacts to something she never intended to touch, then deletes it, unlikes it. Hopes you didn't notice, but you did. And here's where the emotional contrast kicks in. You think it's just algorithmic randomness, a glitch, a funny little accident, but on her side, it was deliberate attention. It was her emotional curiosity bubbling over. And in that moment, without even realizing it, she exposed her emotional craving. Most men don't see it. They shrug it off, laugh it away. Miss the signal completely. But not you. Because now, you'll recognize it for exactly what it is. She's showing her hand, whether she means to or not. And here's the play. When you catch her slipping digitally, don't confront her. Don't tease. Don't call it out directly. Instead, mirror her subtly. Post something playful, something that hints you noticed without saying it outright. A story with a knowing caption. A post that sparks curiosity. Something like, some people are better at hiding their curiosity than others. And then, wait, because I promise you this, she see it. She'll wonder if you're talking about her. Her mind will race. And, just like that, the dynamic shifts. Again, you're not chasing. She is. You're not wondering who's watching. She's the one watching now. And the best part? Most guys would have completely missed it. But you saw the breadcrumb. You followed the trail. And now, you're inside her head, without lifting a finger. There's this quiet moment that always catches you off guard. It doesn't start with fireworks. It doesn't begin with some dramatic confession under the stars. It's subtle, almost too quiet to notice at first. Maybe you're sitting across from her at some low-lit cafe, the air thick with unspoken words. Or maybe it's a late night phone call when her voice softens and the world outside feels distant. And then she tells you something she's never told anyone else. A secret, a fear, a wound from her past. Maybe it's about her childhood, or some hidden insecurity she masks with confidence, or a story about betrayal. The reason she has trust issues, the reason she keeps people at arm's length. You sit there, listening, not fully realizing what just happened, but something inside her has shifted, because that wasn't just a confession. That was an emotional handover. Here's what most guys don't understand about female psychology. When a woman starts opening up deeply, sharing her most guarded fears, her unresolved pain, her hidden dreams, it's never random. It's not because you happen to be there. It's because you've become her emotional safe zone. And whether she realizes it or not, she's already addicted to the feeling you give her. Safety, calm, understanding. You see, emotional addiction isn't always about excitement or lust. It's about relief. Relief from the weight she's been carrying alone for years. When she talks to you and feels that sense of lightness, that emotional exhale she doesn't feel around anyone else, it hooks her in ways even she can't explain. She starts associating you with that emotional release. She craves it. She thinks about it. She needs it. And here's the wild part. In her mind, it doesn't feel like dependence. It feels like fate, like destiny, like she finally found someone who gets her. But you and I both know the truth. She's not falling for fate. She's falling for the way she feels around you. She's becoming emotionally addicted. And here's the emotional contrast. You need to see. You think she's just venting. Just talking. Just letting off steam. But every word she shares is another thread tying her to you. And most men? They jump into fixer mode. They try to solve her problems, give advice, offer solutions. But that's not what she needs. What she's really chasing is the feeling, the safety, the space, the connection. So here's what you do. You listen. You stay grounded. You hold her gaze, steady and calm as she unravels. You let her speak, without judgment, without interruptions, because that's what locks you into her mind forever. And when she's done, you don't smother her with pity. You don't dive into dramatic comfort. You simply say something quiet, simple, confident. Thank you for trusting me with that. That's it. Because in that moment, she feels something she's rarely felt before. Respected, safe, seen. And she knows, deep in her core, that she can't feel that way anywhere else. She'll replay that conversation in her head over and over. She'll wonder why you're the only one she opens up to. And just like that, her emotional dependency becomes sealed. You're not just the guy she likes. You've become the emotional home she never knew she was searching for. And that's a bond stronger than attraction, stronger than desire. That's the beginning of something she won't be able to walk away from. There comes a point where everything flips. You feel it before you see it. A subtle shift in the energy. The way she texts you now, it's different. No more games. No more tests. She's texting first. Often. Eagerly. She asks what you're doing tonight. She brings up places you could go together. She wants to know what you think about this, about that. Every day, she's looking for reasons to start conversations. But here's the key difference. You're not chasing anymore. You're leaning back. You've stopped overanalyzing every message, every pause, every emoji. You've seen behind the curtain. You know exactly what's happening now. She's hooked. And most men? They get overwhelmed here. They'd fumble the ball right when they were about to score. They'd either get cocky and start playing games, or they'd get needy, trying to lock her down as fast as possible. But not you, because here's where everything changes. This isn't about playing hard to get any more. It's about recognizing your value and moving like a man who knows his worth. You're not the target anymore. You're the trophy. And that doesn't mean you treat her poorly or with arrogance. It means you carry yourself with calm, certainty. When she texts you 5 times a day now, you don't rush to reply instantly. You take your time because you're not desperate for attention. When she hints about getting serious, about spending more time together, you listen, you stay present, but you don't dive in headfirst. You let her feel the weight of your selective energy. You make her earn your attention now, not as a punishment, but as a natural extension of your self-respect. Because, here's the truth, no one tells you. Once you realize you've become her emotional addiction, you hold the power, not to manipulate, but to lead. You get to decide where this goes. You can deepen it, build something meaningful and rare, or you can step away, knowing you left her better than you found her, without ever losing yourself. And that's where true freedom lies. You're not reacting anymore. You're choosing. You've become the kind of man who doesn't need to force anything. Women naturally lean in because your presence feels safe, strong, and unshakable. That's magnetic beyond words. So here's your move. Right here, right now. Set your boundaries. Stay centered. Keep your emotional frame unshaken, no matter how close she gets. Let her chase. Let her wonder. Let her earn your presence. Because you've done what most men never do. You've shifted from target to trophy. And once you taste that level of control, not just over her, but over yourself, there's no going back. You've arrived. And now, before we close this chapter, let's bring it all together. Because sometimes it's easy to miss the signs when you're right in the middle of it. But now, You're going to see everything. Here's your quiet checklist. The 6 hidden signs that she's becoming emotionally addicted to you. First, the unsent text phenomena. She started to type. Then she deleted it. You thought it was nothing. But that hesitation? That was emotional turbulence. She almost broke the silence because you were the one on her mind. Second, the memory triggers. She remembers the tiniest, most random details about you. The snack you casually mentioned. That joke you barely recall. You thought it was polite conversation, but no. She's been looping you in her mind, replaying your words like a favorite song. Third, those accidental name drops. She slips your name into conversations that have nothing to do with you. You think it's coincidence, but she's weaving you into her narrative, testing how it feels to speak your name out loud, because you're already a character in her story. Fourth, the emotional micro-exits. She pulls back, goes quiet, delays her replies. You thought she was losing interest, but she's not. She's watching to see if you'll chase, testing your emotional control. And when you don't flinch, she feels herself falling deeper. Fifth, the digital stalking slip ups. She accidentally likes an old post. Views your story too many times. You thought it was just a glitch, but it wasn't. It was her emotional curiosity spilling into the open. She's studying you, and you're becoming her digital obsession. And finally, the emotional dependency confessions. She starts telling you her fears, her insecurities, her hidden wounds. You thought she just needed someone to vent to. But no, she's handing you her emotional heartstrings. You've become her safe place, her release valve, her emotional home. These aren't just signs. They're emotional milestones, each one pulling her deeper, whether she realizes it or not. And now, you're the guy who sees them. You're not just reacting blindly anymore. You're reading every move like a map. Most men miss these signs completely, but you're not most men. You're the man who watches closely, who listens between the words, who knows exactly when she's slipping into emotional addiction, and exactly how to handle it. Save this checklist. Rewatch this whenever you need to. Because once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. And trust me, it changes everything.